Hello, welcome to the show. Today we're going to talk about a topic. It sounds kind of heavy, and it is heavy, um, but it's powerful and important in ways you may have never thought of. So, the topic is integrity. What do I mean by integrity? And wait a minute, don't run away, don't fall asleep. Oh, snore. Integrity. Pompous bull poop. Blah, blah. I have integrity, yes. Okay. The problem is, it seems like in modern culture, integrity is not emphasized. Traditionally, integrity is something that was heavily promoted by traditional sources of morality, uh, the church, for example, and the church defined integrity according to their list and rules of what was appropriate behavior. For example, integrity can be looked at as keeping your word, simply being who you say you are, not lying, you know? Um, the reason I wanted to talk about integrity is because when not many people are talking about it, it can be very easy, especially if you're young and don't know any better, to see the quick profit in cheating, doing things against your word, breaking your word because it's not convenient anymore. It's easy to make excuses. It's easy to rationalize is the word. Almost anything that you do in order to justify breaking your integrity in any particular situation. And you might say, well, I only do it once in a while, or I do it with people who don't matter, or I do it with people I don't like. Heck with them. This is how it typically starts. Why is integrity important? Well, if you have a strong conscience, you probably don't need to think a lot about integrity because it's already something that's coming from inside. But many people aren't born with like a powerful conscience. They don't comprehend the importance of integrity beyond, well, at least when push comes to shove. So, what is the practical value of integrity? I mean, besides sleeping well at night, why have integrity? Why keep your word? Why not just cheat when it benefits you, and when you don't have to cheat, then be honest. But when you can get ahead, do what you got to do. All rules out the window. All's fair in love and war, that kind of crap. Here's the deal. Integrity is kind of like the most valuable asset. And by an asset, I'm talking about like money asset that a human being can have. For one thing, it's rare. And anything that's rare and is valued can become very valuable. In the future, I mean, right now in today's world, we take for granted that value is established by the markets or by some government edict. This is worth X, so shut up and use it. But in the long term, people value certain things inherently. For example, they value someone they can trust. I mean, especially super rich people. Think about it. Let's say you have zillions of dollars and you want to move them around. The whole world wants to steal your money because they all think you don't deserve it. And who knows, maybe you don't. I don't know. But how do you make sure that that doesn't get stolen? Well, generally, you pay people a lot of money and hope that's enough. But there's always somebody else who could pay them just a little bit more. So, who can they trust? And if they can really trust someone, if they know at their gut core that they can absolutely trust someone, how much is that worth to them? Think about it. How much would they be willing to pay someone to act as an intermediary for them, to act as someone who is a trustee, who would hold value on their behalf? Um, being someone who people know they can trust, being someone who they know will keep a secret, being someone who they are certain um, will never stab them in the back, no matter what. They simply won't. That's a very valuable asset. Now, there are many people like this who don't realize how valuable they are, who don't offer their services to others. Um, and when someone offers their honesty services, if there's such a thing, there really is, but we don't call them that, um, immediately you're going to be suspicious. Really? You're honest? You tell me you're honest? That makes me think you're not honest. But the reality is that honesty and a reputation for honesty can be converted to wealth and power. Years ago, I'm sure you've heard of the knights, not the Hospitaliers, but the other ones, the ones that ended up in Scotland. Friday the 13th. Damn, why can't I remember this? They're famous. Everybody knows. Anyway, they were knights. They fought in the Crusades. Templars, the Templar Knights. Okay. The Templar Knights, originally they were supposed to protect people who were trying to go to and from Jerusalem to pray. That was their original idea. And they were known as being impoverished. In fact, their symbol was two men riding on one horse because they were so poor they had to do that. That was the idea. But the Templars became famous for their honesty. They had integrity. So they began holding money for kings and for rich people. And they ended up holding a lot of money because, like, for example, a lot of people went to the Middle East to fight in the Crusades. What do they do with their wealth while they're gone? Who's going to defend it and protect it? If they leave it at home, they're leaving their family exposed to attack because they've brought themselves, their best men, with them to fight. So they're leaving their family exposed. So they had to have some place to go. They didn't really trust the king because he'll just keep it. He doesn't have to give it back. So they went to the Templars. You see, the Templars began acting as a bank for the rich and powerful. They kept people's money for them, and they had a system where, like modern banking, where you could deposit money with them back home, travel halfway across the world, and then withdraw money from them there, and they would deduct it from your account, just like an online banking arrangement. It's very high tech for its day. And this gave people portable wealth, which is very cool. And because the Templars had wealth spread all over the world, they could do this. So the Templars, because of the reputation for honesty, ended up becoming, well, nobody really knows, but they may have been the wealthiest people in the world. I mean, they were filthy rich. And they became very powerful. They even began loaning money. They loaned money to kings. In fact, they loaned money to a particular French king who didn't want to pay them back. And he got this great idea. I got an idea. How about I kill the Templars, destroy their organization, and that way I don't have to pay them back? How brilliant. And that's what he did. And on Friday the 13th, which is where we get that date for being unlucky, there was a huge crackdown, and the leadership and many of the members of the Templars were captured and eventually executed. So that was the end of the Templars. So in their case, being honest didn't pay off in the long run. But the bottom line is they became some of the wealthiest people, not individually, their organization became probably the most wealthy organization in the world because they were honest. People could trust them. They absolutely trusted them. You can't absolutely trust the French king or any king because that's the kind of crap they would pull. But the Templars, no way. So the more people absolutely know they can entrust your integrity, your honesty, your word, the more powerful and potentially wealthy you will be. I'm not saying you're going to be the Templars, but I am saying that there is a long term relationship between maintaining and building your reputation, a true reputation, an accurate reputation for honesty and integrity, and your own wealth and power. That's the practical reason for integrity. If you have a moral basis, good for you. Um, and that's fantastic. But I'm saying there is no reason not to have integrity. I think people have an impression from probably from watching Hollywood movies that being a crook is the way to get rich. Now, it's true, there are some very rich crooks. Mostly they're leaders of countries, and they're just, kleptocracies. The leadership in a lot of dictatorships are just giant criminals. If you're at that level, perhaps theft is financially rewarding. Of course, you're uneasy lies the king of a thug, excuse me, the head of a thug, because they're always subject to being murdered. I don't know what kind of life that is. But in general, being a crook, being dishonest, being opportunist when it comes to your word may get you some short term benefits here or there. And if you're the kind of person who lives a life in which you have little or no hope of having any gains, substantial gains, of getting ahead, and then suddenly you find $1 million lottery ticket laying around, I can understand the temptation to just cash it in. I mean, I get it because that's life changing and it may be once in a lifetime. So I'm not going to judge you. But for most people, cheating here, cheating there, to get ahead will make sure you're always mediocre. You will never be great. If you have no aspirations to be great, if you have no aspirations for real power, well, then you'll be like all the rest. But if you want to be more than the rest, to sleep really well at night, and to potentially have one shitload of power and money someday, your most important asset, I would say, is your authentic reputation for real integrity. Watch what you say, watch what you promise, everything. Be very careful about your words. And if you think you haven't been clear or you've misstated, speak up. Make sure the world knows that you are a man or woman or a he or she or they of your word. Okay? So that's what I have to say about integrity today. If you have any thoughts or comments, please, post something under this show, and look forward to hearing from you. Anyway, thanks. Talk to you later.